Hi, everyone. Today I want to talk to you about a topic that follows logically from a recent video post that Fred Davis, a non-dual teacher with whom I have worked, um, he posted a video called The Post-Awakening Time-Bomb. And in it, he talks about sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop, which is after an awakening, there's a very common experience that can be described as the I had it, I lost it experience. Is I was awake and now I'm not. I was enlightened and I'm no longer enlightened. What happened? And a lot of people come to Fred and others with this very common problem. Adyashanti talks about it in his book, The End of The End of Your World. And what happens is we start to believe our thoughts over our direct experience. When we wake up, and I use the word we very loosely here, there is this, what happens is that our egoic structure, our sense of self, our sense of me disappears. And what wakes up is, well, I don't know what wakes up, to be honest. I have no clue what this is, except that it is. We've given it names: oneness, awakeness, emptiness, nothingness. But what wakes up is sort of reality wakes up to its own reality, which is that it is inclusive of everything and is not just the ideas and stories and belief systems associated with an individual self, a small self, because that's how everybody in this world operates. We operate in life thinking that what I am is this story of me, that I am this body, I am this person, I'm Vincent. And in non-duality methods, especially the one that Fred Davis uses, which he calls the living method of awakening, there's a deconstruction of the story of me. In fact, there's a search, a very systematic search for the me. Can you find a Vincent? Can you find a self? Can you find a me anywhere? That's part of the method. And the post-awakening time bomb is once you've seen through the illusion of me, a very common occurrence is you fall back into the me. You start to believe that there's a me. And once you start believing there's a me, once you start identifying with the story of me, suffering reignites all over again. And that's when you feel like you've lost it. So let's be clear. The me that you believe you are cannot wake up. Awakening occurs when the me disappears, or at least the illusion of the me is seen through. It doesn't mean our minds stop working. It doesn't mean the stories don't continue to churn inside our consciousness. There's still a personality set of parameters that operate in this world. This body is unique in its presentation. The personality that it gets expressed through this body is certainly unique in its expression. And life is lived by life from this particular perspective in a very particular way with very particular circumstances. The people that I live with, the dogs I live with, the community I live in, these are very particular circumstances that coincide with this biological unit. So in Fred's video, he talked about the post-awakening time bomb. This is going to happen. You're going to re-identify. Not everybody. There's a few rare cases that I know of in which people have not re-identified with their stories. But re-identification with the stories is something that'll happen. So I want to take this just one step further, because it's what's been happening over here in my own post-awakening process, is that there's a subtle disillusion of that story of me. There's a subtle disillusion of the witness to the story of me. In fact, maybe I should back up a little bit. It was Greg Good who talks about an opaque witness and a transparent witness. The opaque witness is that you become first aware that there is this awareness. Fred calls it awakeness, but it's awareness. There's an awareness of awareness. But it's opaque in the sense that there's still identification. We believe that the awareness is a person's awareness, not a more global, unified awareness. But over time, when one engages in meditation and inquiry, that awareness will tend to become more and more transparent. In fact, in my case, I kept on exploring this question. It's like, how do I know that I'm aware? I could say that there's awareness here, but how do I know? Can I even find awareness? And I kept on hitting sort of a wall. And the realization is everything that is perceived, including awareness, is nothing but a reflection. It's like the mind sends out radar into the ether of awareness, the ether of nothingness. It sends out the radar. There's a seeking. It's a seeking energy. What is this? Where is this? What are the boundaries of this? But what is returned, like radar, when radar hits an object, it comes back and get a blimp on a screen or auditory sound. What comes back is a reflection. Everything is a reflection, and even awareness, there's a reflected awareness. I think it was James Schwartz talked about reflected awareness. Because something it is almost a mental object, a mental construct, and it bounces off this mental construct. And the thing is what is being perceived back, that reflection that is perceived back, is just that. It's just a reflection. And we give it a name. We give it a name of awareness or awakeness, oneness, emptiness, nothingness. But if there was truly nothing there to be perceived, we'd receive nothing back in return. Radar would go out. And that, for some people, is the kind of awakening experience they have. Nothing's returned. There's just emptiness, and as the word is in Buddhism, or nothingness, is directly not perceived. I was going to say perceived. It's not perceived, it's just known. It's hard to describe. You cannot describe the ineffable. Lao Tzu said, the way that can be spoken is not the eternal way. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. So with persistence, with vigilance, with inquiry, with meditation, with a spiritual discipline or technique of some sort, what you might notice is that ultimately you reach a point where you just can't do it anymore. It's futile. And the futility of the search itself finally permeates. And you stop looking. Because you know, well, there's no you to know. There's a knowing. That there's nothing else but this. You've heard that before. There's just this. This is it. You might understand that and say, "Oh yeah, I get that. That's it." No, I'm talking about it starts to infiltrate. Dare I say, biologically, it infiltrates your cells, and it's starting to infiltrate that. Oh my God, there's nothing here, and it includes everything. And the only thing that we can say is here is here. This. And when that really happens, seeking ends. You stop looking. You really realize it's pointless. It's futile to search for what it is you are. Because you'll never find it. It's impossible. And yet, here it is. All we have is what's arising right now. That is the sum total of what we are. Subject, object disappears. Even the distinction between absolute and relative doesn't disappear, but it becomes meaningless. The absolute basis of reality. What is that? Relativity, the relative. The distinction disappears. In Buddhism, in the Heart Sutra, it's chanted, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. And even that falls away. Form, the phenomenal universe. Emptiness, that to which the phenomenal universe arises, that which is what we could say you are. They're one and the same. It's chanted, form is emptiness. It doesn't say form, the underlying substrate of form is emptiness, is ultimately empty. You can say that. It's not entirely true. Emptiness is form. There's an equal sign. Form is emptiness, kind of like Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared. Energy is mass times equals mc, speed of light squared. Form is emptiness. There's no distinction. And the time bomb, so to speak, that Fred talks about, post-awakening, kind of gets diffused when this is really seen clearly. But here's where I really wanted to go with this, because that's what's been percolating in this unit. When you see that, when you see that all that you are is none other than what is, all duality falls away. Doesn't mean we don't live our lives with apparent distinction of other people, of objects. Today's election day, and there's a local election here. A distinction has to be made as to which candidates to vote for. Life goes on. Relativity persists, but relativity is the absolute. Form is emptiness. It's very difficult to articulate because it's subtle. But there's another subtle consequence to this, which is that what is there left to do? When all distinction falls away, when seeking disappears, what do? You live your life. You wake up in the morning. You put your feet on the ground. You go to the bathroom. You brush your teeth. You get dressed. You eat breakfast. You go to work. You do what needs to be done. Life living itself through these units is nothing other than life living itself through these units. Why? I thought I had a book on my desk. As a longtime Zen student, I was always fascinated with various different visual and verbal depictions of the awakening process. Look this up in Google. Look up the 10 ox herding pictures. There's 10 of them. Kind of describes sequence of stages of awakening, of clearing, of enlightenment. Very interesting that waking up to one's reality is, I think, the fourth ox herding picture, maybe the fifth ox herding picture. And it always puzzled me. It's like, well, that's bizarre. When you finally realize the emptiness of what you are, you kind of had that direct experience of the absolute that you are, because you're none other than the absolute. There's always the sense that, well, that's it, that's the end. And yet there's 4 or 5 more pictures after that. The neat thing is the very last ox herding picture is of the fellow who's sort of the character. He's chasing the ox. He's chasing enlightenment. He catches a glimpse of the ox. He catches a glimpse of his true nature and so forth. But the very last picture is of the character, the person, the human being, riding the ox back into town. And in the reading descriptions of this, what it points to is, what I've been trying to articulate is, there's no sense of form and emptiness anymore. There's no distinction between absolute and relative anymore. There's no seeking anymore. So what happens? The guy rides the ox as the ox. The guy and the ox are really one and the same, riding back into town, living life. So when Fred talks about the other shoe dropping, waiting for the other shoe to drop, that is the loss, the sense of losing one's awareness, one's awakeness, one's enlightenment. I like to think of as I like to think of as putting on your shoes, diffusing the time bomb. Put on your shoes. It's as simple as that. There's nothing else left to do but just live. As long as this thing's alive, that's What else is there to do? Put on your shoes. The other taxonomy I was going to mention is called the 5 ranks of Tozan. Again, Google that. 5 ranks of Tozan. It's another description of sort of different stages. In this case, there's only 5, but the last one is complete unification. Again, it's pointing to the complete dropping of absolute and relative, of form and emptiness, completely. And again, what is left to do? Seeking ends. Seeking ends. So what do? Put on your shoes. Chop wood, carry water. Rick Fields wrote that book many years ago. Chop wood, carry water. Sleep when tired, eat when hungry. Go to work when that's what's called for. Go play when that's what's called for. Brush your teeth when that's what's called for. Every little thing. Pick up your glasses when that's what's called for. It's so simple. It's too simple. And this is one of the ultimate ironies of this whole thing. Is we search and we search and we search and we practice and we practice and we practice and we adopt a discipline. And I'm not saying their practices and disciplines are not good. They set the conditions. There's another saying I love the saying, glasses off. The truth cannot be found by seeking, yet only seekers find it. The truth cannot be found by seeking, yet only seekers find it. And what is that truth? Another saying, what you're looking with is what you're looking for. It's as simple as that. This. What is this? I don't know. I don't know. You're not going to find answers. There's no answers. What there is the end of the search. And then life goes on. Or it doesn't. But assuming you're listening to this, or there's something that's alive, alert, and aware. Alive enough, alert enough, and aware enough to be listening to this, or any other teacher for that matter, because I don't have very many listeners. So for the one or two of you out there that I know who you are, and for anybody else who runs across this, it's as simple as that. Put on your shoes. The time bomb will get diffused. And when it does, just put on your shoes. It's all you. I say you, I don't mean you, person you. This is it. I mean, right now, not this was it, or this will be it, or this is going to be it. I can't wait for it to be it. I look forward to it. This is it. You're it. There's no separation. All perception, sight, sound, smell, touch, mind. It's what gives the appearance of this reality. This reality is you. You are this reality. It's our little minds that get in the way and complicate things. Oh, believe me, it's complicated things here for years. Still does. I'm not entirely void of my conditioning and my questioning and my suffering. The mind is a powerful function. It's useful. It's needed. Problem is when it is believed, the thoughts are believed. This is it. You're it. Just this. Just this. No matter how hard you look and look and look and look and look, you will never find what it is you really are, because the eye cannot see itself. Can't. And what is this I? I don't know. It seems it's a strange paradox. It's a strange conundrum. And yet here we are. Here we, plural, are, but we is the entire, is all of it. And what is it? That's what you have to give up on. Eventually, seeking has to come to an end. That's true liberation. You relax. Relax into what is. What happens is what's happening. Happening is happening. Living is living. Breathing is breathing. Eating is eating. Putting on your shoes is putting on your shoes. So for now, this is not quite clear to you. Keep looking. Where can you find yourself? Everywhere you look. Isn't that an interesting thing? You'll never find yourself, and yet at the same time, you'll find yourself everywhere you look. How can you not? So, what is left to do? Just put on your shoes.